Yeah. From the BART train to a tour bus, still the same game except I'm pulling more sluts, more butts, more butts.
What's up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in to today's video. So today, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be replacing both of the front wheel hub assemblies on the IS. The bearing on the passenger side, it's done, like it's done for. There is no coming back. So I was going to replace the bearing, but I also have a stud missing from the wheel hub. So I was like, you know what, might as well change out the whole thing. But I went to Advance Auto to buy some. If I were to buy both of the sets there, everything would have came out to like $600. And I really wasn't going to do that. And what I did was I hit up Tony, and he had them, and then Wesley gave me a price, and boom, now we're here. All right, so enough chit chat. Let me jack up the car and let's get this install started. My bad, it's not an install really. I'm just replacing it. I got the car jacked up on this Advance Auto floor jack, and I got this trashy little floor jack that comes with cars, and I got my trusty little center block if my trashy floor jack tries to act up. You know, I don't want to end up like Zane and have a car fall on my leg. Here's the wheel hub assemblies. As you can see, Tony basically gave me everything. He even gave me the dust guards. So basically all I have to do is just undo the upper control arm and the lower control arm and take off the calipers and just, you know, take the old ones out, put the new ones in. Hopefully it's that simple and I don't run into any issues, but I guess we'll just see. I knew there was something wrong with the wheel because I started hearing like a grinding noise when I was driving. When I would turn the wheel, it would make like a little clunking noise. So I was like, oh shoot, maybe I ruined my lower control arm again. But then when I got to work, I put it up on the lift, and then I was looking around, and then I touched the wheel, and then it kind of moved a little bit. And then I started doing this. And that is a lot of play. That is not supposed to be like that. My first thought was that it's the wheel bearing. I showed it to some other people, and they also said that it was a wheel bearing. So I was gonna change out the wheel bearing, but since I'm missing a stud, I said, you know what, might as well change out the whole assembly. The one on the other side has a little bit of play too, but it's not as bad as this. So I'm just gonna replace both of them. It's not the upper control arm, because it's fine. It's not moving. There's no play in it at all. So for a fact, it's the wheel bearing. But I'm just gonna replace the whole thing. So let's get this started. So first step is I got to take off this caliper. I think it's two 17mm bolts in the back, and then it should come right off. Then after that, I'm gonna have to remove this castle nut for the upper control arm, and then there's also a castle nut for the lower control arm. And I got to take out the ABS sensor, which is right behind here. All right, so first is the first 17mm bolt in the back for the caliper. Came off pretty easy. All right, got 4 time for the second. Might have to go from the bottom. Broke the bottom one loose. Man, I hope I wasn't making any stupid faces while I was trying to get that loose. So I got the rotor and the caliper out. As you can see, I managed to keep the rotor between the brake pads, so I don't have to worry about getting the pistons pressed or anything. Hopefully it's easy to put it back on the same way that it came off. I got to take off this castle nut for the tie rod or the upper control arm. And then there's another one down here. I don't know if you can see it. Nope, can't get really a good look at it. But there's another castle nut down there for the lower ball joint. And once I get all of those things off, this thing should come right off. And then all that's left is just to pop the new ones in. So far, so good. All right, first you take this little pin out. Make sure you don't lose it. And then this is a 17. Hold on, lefty loosey. Yeah, there we go. Tie rod, and make sure that you don't mess with the tie rod because that can throw off your alignment, but I'm sure a lot of you guys already know that. For the lower ball joint. All right, right, got the castle nut for the lower ball joint out. Now the biggest problem is gonna be getting these things to actually come out. So I think I'm gonna need to use a hammer or something, or a pickle fork, maybe both. Let me go try to find some. What? What the fuck? All right, you guys, so like an hour just went by and I've been struggling to get this upper control arm out, and I finally popped it out after watching like 3 YouTube videos. And I tried to use the pickle fork. That didn't help much, but all I did was I used the hammer to tap the sides. I did more than tapping. I had to hammer the sides like 20 times, and I guess that broke it loose, and then I just used the pickle fork to pry it together. But it's all out. The tie rod is out, and like I said, make sure not to move that around a lot because you don't want to throw off your alignment. And then I got the lower ball joint out also. Now all that's left to do is to remove this ABS sensor right here, and then I can pull the steering knuckle out. It's gonna be this bolt right here. It's a 10mm, I assume. All right, so the 10mm bolt is out, and this ABS sensor, twist a little bit, bam, and it comes right up. Oh, it smells disgusting. Let this hang right there, and now I forgot I put the castle nut back on there. Now this shit. Bam! Here you go. Oh, that's one of the bolts for the calipers. But there you go. It's off. Alright, now since the old one is out, you just put the new one back in, basically in the same steps that you took the old one out in reverse. If that makes sense. Man, you guys know what I mean. I don't gotta explain it. But yeah, you just put everything back together. The top end first. Alright, that's in there. Okay, so the upper and lower control arms are popped in. Now let me just hook up the ABS. Tony said to make sure that's flush, and that looks pretty flush to me. So let's pop in the 10mm. Make sure that's nice and tight. Now take the castle nut for the lower ball joint. Screw that baby on there. Put the castle nut for the tie rod, for the outer tie rod. Pop that baby on there. See this on my hands? This is all power steering fluid leaking from the tie rod coming from the racket pinion. I gotta get that racket pinion changed. Alright, so now the last castle nut that goes on the upper ball joint. And don't forget the little Carter pin for the upper control arm. Now it's time to get this rotor on here. Like I said, hopefully it's as easy to put back on as it was to take off. And there you have it, it's a success. Now it's time to get those 2 bolts in.
"2,000 years later."
It was way harder to get this thing on here than I thought it would be. Oh man. I finally got both of the nuts on. Just screwing the second one in right now. All right, and we're done. Goodness. I didn't expect this to be really easy, but it was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. At least I don't have to deal with any, you know, pressing the pistons and all that stuff. It's a headache that I did not want to deal with, and I managed to avoid it. So I would say that this video was a success. Okay, so I don't know if you guys could see it, but the caliper and the rotor, it's all dirty with grease and stuff. So I stole some brake cleaner from my job and I'm just gonna spray it down and wipe it. Make sure everything is all clean. Ouch, that was stupid. And all that's left is to put the wheel back on and then we're all set. All right, now it's time for the moment of truth. So let's see it. As you guys can see, there's absolutely no play whatsoever. Everything is tight and secure. No play at all, which means that this video was a success. All right, so that is that. All I have to do now is just torque down the lug nuts and then do the same thing for the other side, replace it and go through all that stuff. But I don't think I'm gonna do that today because I'm hungry and I'm tired. My back hurts. That took a lot out of me. But yeah, I'm just gonna do that tomorrow because I'm gonna be at work and I'm gonna have actual lift to work with. So it's just gonna be a lot easier and a lot smoother. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please sub to my channel. And I'll see you guys for the next video. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Money was coming slow, dreams they seem far. Here you won't make it from niggas who fell off. Goals they kept calling, so I had to pick up. If I wanna get paid, I gotta work hard, shine bright. Day